Alrighty guys, Dan Whiteford had made a comment last night on my video, wondering why I called it leveling ground and why I wouldn't use like a road grader type, blade type deal to flatten it out. So I was going to kind of explain to him or to anybody, make a video on how the soil finisher works and the thinking behind the way it's set up. I always like Dan's comments. He's from England, and he always gives a little bit different perspective on something. These real nice comments. Really enjoy and look forward to his comments. He just gives a little bit different perspective, or has a different idea on some stuff, and or a little bit different way of doing things, and I like hearing that and seeing what everybody else thinks and what he thinks and whatnot. So first thing, this is soil finisher, and that's because it's got disc gangs in the front. Shanks are on 9-inch centers, meaning it's not every 9 inches. At some point in the dirt that you run over a shank area is going to be the center of the shank is going to be every 9 inches. We run 12-inch sweeps on here. So there's 1.5 inch overlap. This wings and that wing there are overlapping 1.5 inch on each other. Some of these, this probably was sold originally as 10-inch sweeps, so there's only a 1/2 inch overlap, but we like the bigger ones just because you got a better chance of tearing weeds out, and it boils the dirt around a little more. So a regular field cultivator is just sweeps, and usually they're on like a 6 or 7 inch center. Don't flow the trash as well. We like soil finish. Soil finishers are fairly popular around here because we grow good corn and got good, but that also comes with a lot of residue, and just flowing the residue on through is kind of a challenge sometimes. And if you get into weeds or something, you're late getting the crop in because of rain. The disc gangs are nice because they'll cut that up and whatnot, cut weeds up, they'll cut residue up. Usually, unless we're running a real weedy situation or standing corn stalks, I usually just run the disc gangs enough to take the ridges off the top of the chiseled spots. We've already had anhydrous, or we put anhydrous on this, so it's flattened it out some, but usually just use the disc gangs, run them 1 inch or 2 deep, kind of halfway flatten out the ridges, just so the tires are running on something a little more level. And then you just the whole soil finisher just rides a little flatter through the field. These are hydraulic disc gangs, and you adjust the height, and we made this little, or Dad did, made this little deal here to gauge how deep we're running in the cab, so we can just see what we're doing. Our other soil finisher and some other soil finishers, you'd have to get out and manually adjust something, and that doesn't really happen, so you just pick a depth you like and just run it there. So that's why we got the disc gangs. We're trying to knock down ridges and chop stuff up. Then you get back to the sweeps, Dan, and what we're doing is basically all we're doing is just undercutting those ridges, flatten them out, boils that dirt around, and you'll see I'll try to use my little camera as long as the dust and wind is going to cooperate today, and kind of show you an up close of boiling the dirt around. And just by tossing the dirt around, it'll fill the ridges and take off the high spots. Like you can see, here we got, it's kind of rough on this side, and then over here, by the time the whole thing's said and done, we've gone in here and we've worked it about 2.5 inches deep or so. Not working it real deep in this black dirt because it will. And you can see it's getting kind of cloddy here already, just the way it is. But we're tearing all the little weeds out, is what we want to. We're also wanting to do that. And you can see you got all the little stuff coming here, and it's tearing it out, and so that's what we want, that and leveling the ground. So after it gets done boiling the dirt around and undercutting the weeds. You know, they do make vertical tillage tools, which is just really a bunch of disc blades and whatnot, and they can kind of flatten stuff out some, but they don't move as much dirt sideways and they don't undercut the weeds. So some situations I think they work all right, but not all the time. So that's why we don't have one. We like undercutting the weeds. And then you get the chopping reel. Every soil finisher manufacturer is different on what they use for a leveling tool on the back after the sweeps. Now, when some people call these shovels, we call them sweeps. A lot of guys in the northern states, I don't know why, will call these a digger, and I don't know where that came from, but I've heard them called that before too. Glencoe on this particular model offered the chopping reel with a 3-bar harrow where you just have 1, 2, and 3, or you'd have a no chopping, or you could have the chopping reel and a 5-bar, which is what we got, or you could have a no chopping reel and just an 8-bar harrow on there. Probably, if I'd ordered one new, I probably would have actually ordered just the 8-bar, just because I don't think that it'll chop the clods up, but I don't think it chops, you know, residue up much, just because it's pushing into loose dirt. But this, the one we bought, and it had it on there, and it does a good job though. We're happy with it. But yeah, and then just to get even a flatter seed bed, we pull the Unverferth rolling harrow. We really like this thing. The first bars here are actually Unverferth's the only one that does this, and I think they probably got a patent, and rightly so. It does a good job over other crumbling baskets or whatever. They angle forward and they almost kind of dig the dirt just a little bit and toss it up and flatten it out some more, and then the back one's there just to kind of firm it down a little bit, and because they're just welded on straight. This thing does a real good job, breaks up the clods, incorporates a little more, and it will push rocks into the ground. We do have rocks. We got around some fields, not all fields, got rocks about this size that are, you know, you run those in combine cutting beans and you can do a lot of damage if the rock trap doesn't catch it. And so that's going to be nice that this thing is going to push all those rocks back down into the ground to where the bean head will just go over the top of it. But well, I'll get my action camera here and try this out for you, Dan. going to take a look at this as it sits in the ground right here, like I was going through the field. Obviously there's not a lot of trash in this field because we chiseled it and then disked it and then put anhydrous on it, so a field cultivator would have gone through here just fine. Field cultivators generally leave it a little smoother because they're narrower shank spacing. That's why people kind of gravitate towards them sometimes. It just depends. But you can see disc gangs aren't running real deep. We could probably put them in about 3 inches. We're only going about 1 inch here. That one's not doing much. And that one, and then these two are about to come up on something. That one's about to cut right through this little ridge here. Obviously in the tire tracks. Oh, I lost my hat there. Tire tracks. That one don't hardly do anything. That one's running a little more. And you can see back here, this one wasn't hardly even touching it all there yet. This one was cutting in some more. Come out here and you can see shanks are running, and there's the shovel right there, and they're running. You know, we got her flattening the ground out a little bit, you know. It's running a good 3 inches deep there to the bottom of the shovel, undercutting weeds, mixing dirt in, and getting a nice loose seed bed starting out here. But generally when we're running, it runs the unworked dirt, or the top of the ground is usually running about the top of those sweeps there. Real important to have these things leveled out. You got to have someone walking beside you as you're running through the field just to level them out when you initially hook it up to a new tractor or something like that. Then you come back here and see the chopping reels kind of smashing stuff back a little bit there, and it's mixing some. It just kind of depends. It chops some stuff, but it's not doesn't do like the disc gangs do, but it works pretty good. Then you got the harrow dragging it back shut. And you can see this one leaves it pretty nice just the way it is here. But it's still got a few clods, and you're going to have that with whatever soil finisher you have. Things are still just kind of loose, and this kind of just firms it back together just a little bit here. You can see these are kind of pointing down, and the way these are, they're almost kind of scooping dirt up. You know, they're going to toss it if I'm running through the field faster, which I don't know if that last video segment with the action camera will show it or not. It's probably a little too close. And then this last one here doesn't really toss it. It just kind of just pats it back down just a little bit and makes a real nice, that's a nice level seed bed to plant into now. So and Dan, they do make land levelers, as they call it. I never even knew they made one until I seen Jeff Raymond's. He's got one about a year ago. He put a video up using it. He's actually got to actually make a tool. I think it's called a land leveler or land blade or something like that, where it literally just grades the ground off. But you can go see his channel for that. So thanks again, Dan Whiteford, for your comments, nice comments, and asking questions and whatnot. So hope this answers some questions for you, and hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching.